Hey neighbors, Happy New Year. I wanted to take a few minutes to kind of share what's happened in our Buffalo Crossing housing market through 2025. Give you a whole annual recap. Now, whether you're thinking about selling or buying or just curious about what your home might be worth, I think you'll find this really interesting. So let me start with the big picture. In 2025, we had 36 homes sell in Buffalo Crossing. That's pretty good. 22 of these were brand new construction homes, and 14 of them were pre-owned homes. Now here's where it gets interesting. The new construction homes sold for an average of $567,000, while pre-owned homes, they sold for an average of $344,000. That is a difference of $223,000. So you might be wondering, why such a huge difference? Well, buyers are really willing to pay a premium for new construction. They love the modern features, they love the energy efficiency, and they especially love those builder warranties and incentives. But here's the thing. Even though new homes commanded those higher prices, they actually sat on the market longer. New homes took about 160 days to sell, while pre-owned homes, they sold in about 103 days. That's almost 2 months faster. Now, what this tells me is that while new construction is attractive, pre-owned homes are offering a value that buyers recognize, and they jump on a little bit more quickly. Now, let's talk about pricing strategy for a second, because this is really important. Pre-owned home sellers did a much better job pricing their homes right from the start. They achieved what we call a 95% list to sold ratio. That means if they listed their home for $350,000, they sold it for about $333,000, pretty close to asking price. The builders, they achieved about an 89% ratio. That means that they're pricing higher initially, maybe even overpricing a bit, but then they're making up for it by offering bigger incentives. On average, new home builders gave about $16,000 in sellers concessions, while pre-owned sellers gave about $9,800. So builders are keeping their list prices high, but then helping with closing costs, buying down interest rates, things like that. Now let's talk about value per square foot, because this is where it gets really interesting. New homes averaged about 2,980 square feet and sold for about $190 per square foot. Pre-owned homes averaged about 2,416 square feet and sold for only $143 per square foot. So if you're buying pre-owned, you're getting about a 25% better value for a square foot than purchasing new. And that's significant. All right, let's break this down by home type, and let's start with single-story homes. We had 10 single-story homes sell in 2025. 8 were new construction and 2 were pre-owned. That's a really small number of pre-owned single-story sales, which tells me something important. It tells me that new single-story homes sold for about an average of $524,000. They were about 2,500 square feet and took 195 days to sell. That's over 6 months. Now, pre-owned single-story homes sold for an average of $323,000, were about 1,900 square feet and sold in about 76 days. That's 2.5 months. So here's what concerns me about the single-story market. We only had 2 sales, but we had 6 properties that were canceled, meaning that the sellers took them off the market and 2 of their listings expired before selling. That tells me that sellers of pre-owned single-story homes, they might be pricing too high for what buyers are willing to pay. There's clearly demand for affordable single-story living, but sellers need to be realistic about their pricing. Now let's talk about 2-story homes, which is actually the most active segment in our community. We had 26 2-story homes sell, 14 new construction, 12 pre-owned. This is where most of the action was happening at. Now, new 2-story homes, they averaged about $592,000. These were big homes averaging 3,252 square feet, and they took about 140 days to sell. Pre-owned 2-story homes sold for around $348,000. They averaged 2,504 square feet and took 108 days to sell. Now, what I love about 2-story market is that it seemed more balanced. The days on market were closer together compared to single-story homes, and pre-owned 2-story homes actually had the strongest pricing discipline of any category that I tracked. They achieved 95.6% original list price to sold price ratio. That means that sellers were pricing right and buyers were responding. Now, the big difference here is space. New 2-story homes gave you about 750 square feet more than the pre-owned homes. So that's like getting an extra bedroom and a bathroom. So if you're a buyer, or if you have a buyer that needs maximum space, new construction two-story homes deliver that, but they are paying about $244,000 more for it. So let's talk now about what's challenging in our market right now, because I want to be completely honest with you. We currently have 32 homes sitting on the market. 24 of those are new construction and 8 are pre-owned. Many of these homes have been on the market for over 200 days. That's a long time. And that tells me that we have a pricing problem. We also had 22 homes that were canceled in 2025. That means that the sellers took them off the market without selling them. And we had 7 homes that expired. Their listing period ended and they didn't sell, so they just took everything off the market. When I see this many cancellations and expirations, it tells me that sellers aren't willing to adjust their prices to meet what the actual market demand is willing to pay. Now, here's the reality that homes are currently active and priced about 20 to 45% higher than the homes that actually sold. That's a huge gap. So if a home recently sold for $350,000, similar homes are listed for $420,000 up to $490,000. Buyers aren't going to pay that when they can have homes that are actually sold for less money. So what do I think is going to happen in 2026? Here's my predictions. First, I think we're going to see a price correction. With so many homes sitting on the market for so long, I expect to see price drops between 3 to 6% in the first few months of 2026. The sellers who recognize this early and price accordingly are going to be the ones who actually sell. The ones who dig their heels in and refuse to adjust their prices or just can't budge, they're not going to be able to sell. They're going to sit on the market and watch their home sit there while others sell. Second, I think two-story homes are going to be continuing to dominate the market. They're the sweet spot. Enough space for families, but not so expensive that nobody can afford them. I'm expecting about 25 to 32-story homes to sell in 2026. Third, and this is a big opportunity, I think the pre-owned single-story market is going to wake up. With only 2 sales in 2025, there's clearly unmet demand. If you own a pre-owned single-story home and you're going to price it under $350,000, I think you're going to see strong interest from the downsizers, the retirees, and people who want one-story living. Fourth, I expect builders are going to increase their incentives. They're probably going to keep their list prices close to where they are. They don't like to officially drop prices, but I think we'll see them drop some a little bit and likely offer some more in concessions and incentives. You'll probably see them continue to offer the rate buy downs on the interest rates, pay more of your closing costs, throw in some upgrades that would normally cost extra, things like that. Fifth, I think the market is going to speed up. As prices stabilize and come down to reality, I think we'll see pre-owned homes selling in about 90 days instead of 103 days. Still a long time, but better. New construction should come down to about 160 days, maybe 120 to 150 days by the middle of December of 2020, or by the middle of 2026, depending on how they start their pricing entering 2026, especially in the new section that's opening up this year. Finally, I think the price gap between new and pre-owned is going to narrow a little bit. Not dramatically, but it'll compress some. New construction will probably come down to around $190 per square foot, maybe $180 per square foot. Pre-owned might stay where it is or even go up slightly as seller highlights their updates and energy efficient improvements. So what does this all mean for you? If you're thinking about selling, here's my advice. Price your home competitively from day one. Don't try to test the market with a high price. That strategy is not working right now. Homes that are priced within about 5% of what similar homes actually sold for are the ones that are selling. The ones that are overpriced are sitting there for months and eventually getting canceled. Also, owning a pre-owned home, you really need to highlight your energy efficiency and any updates that you've made. You're competing with new homes. That has the latest and it has the greatest. So you need to make sure that you market your house to where buyers know, hey, I've got a new HVAC, I've got a new roof, we've updated the kitchens, we've updated the bathrooms, you put new windows in, whatever you've got, you gotta put it out there. Now be prepared for others to come in and want some concessions, probably between $8,000 to $12,000. That's just become standard right now for our market. In our community, the highest was $15,000. And if you have a single story pre-owned home and you can price it under $350,000, you're going to see a lot of interest. That's where the demand is the strongest right now. Now, if you know someone that's thinking about buying in Buffalo Crossing, or maybe you want a new home here in Buffalo Crossing, here's what I want you to know. Pre-owned homes are giving you 25 to 35% better value per square foot than new construction. They're also selling faster, which tells me that they're fairly priced for current market conditions, resulting in buyers getting a good deal. Now, if you want to stay in the community, but you're looking at that new construction, you need to negotiate hard on these concessions. Don't just accept whatever the builder offers. They're motivated to sell. And with so many homes sitting on the market, you have leverage. Push for them to buy down the interest rate, maybe even further. Cover all of your closing costs. Throw in some upgrades. Throw in a fridge. Throw in a washer dryer. Throw in blinds, whatever. Make them work for your business. Now, two-story homes are going to give you the most options across the price points. That's where the inventory is at. Now, finally, remember that there are 32 homes actively for sale right now. That means you have negotiation power as a buyer. It means buyers have negotiation power coming to you as the seller. Don't be afraid to submit low offers below asking price. The other buyers won't. Houses have been sitting on the market, some of them almost 6 months. They're going to be ready to go. I hope this gives you a really clear picture of what's happening in Buffalo Crossing through 2025 and what I think is going to be coming in 2026. Real estate is a big decision, probably the biggest financial decision most of us make, and it's so important to have accurate data that you can make informed decisions with. If you're thinking about buying or selling in 2026, or if you just have questions about what any of this really means for your specific situation, please reach out to me. I'm your neighbor. I'm here to help you. I can pull up the exact comparables for your house, show you what the similar properties have done on the market, and help you understand your options. I wish you and your family a prosperous and healthy 2026, and I'm excited to see what this year brings for our community here at Buffalo Crossing.